Hey everyone, this is Sav here, and this is a Mists of Pandaria Destruction Warlock PvP guide. Although Mists of Pandaria hasn't been released yet, we already have the talents and general abilities. I've also played some beta, so I can talk a little bit about the abilities and talents above level 5. Also, you should keep in mind that this is not a stat, gear, gem, etc. guide, but I will only cover talents, glyphs, and general abilities for Destruction Warlocks, and some tips and tricks you could use in arenas. So let's get started. As a lot of you may know, talents in Mists of Pandaria have changed a lot since Cataclysm. They're every 15 levels that you gain one instead of 1 or 2. They're just abilities, they're not power gains or damage, increase, etc. gains, and they're really PvP oriented. The majority of them don't really do any damage or are useful to your PvE rotation. They're mostly utility or health gain abilities. So let's get started with all the talents. First of all, we have the level 15 tier, which has Dark Regeneration, Soul Leech, and Harvest Life. The first ability, Dark Regeneration, which is my personal favorite, is an instant cast spell. It's on a 2-minute cooldown, and it restores 30% of you and your pet's maximum health, and increases all healing received by 25% over 12 seconds. So basically this completely counters Mortal Strike and Wound Poison, and also restores some of your health. Even though this is on a 2-minute cooldown, it's not really that long, and it can be used in conjunction with Health Stone to get you 100% healing. The second ability on a level 15 tier is Soul Leech, which is a passive effect that every time you use Shadow Bolt, Soulfire, and Touch of Chaos, or for Destruction, is Incinerate and Chaos Bolt, which you cannot see right now because I have the spells copied from Talent Calculator. It heals you for 10% of the damage you've dealt. So basically, if you do 100,000 Chaos Bolt, you will be healed for 10,000. Mind you that if you actually crit a training dummy or a low HP MoP, you won't actually be gaining all that, because the MoP doesn't actually have 10,000 health. This is really not a good PvP talent, it's just a PvE leveling talent. I will not advise you to use this. It's really, you won't really have the uptime for this spell to be even useful or as good as Dark Regen. The third and final ability of the level 15 tier is Harvest Life. This replaces Drain Life, and what it basically does is an AoE Drain Life. It says here that it drains life from all enemies within 50 yards, but I believe there's a cap to the amount of enemies you can drain life from, which is 20 or 25. You can search that up if you because I'm not really sure. And what this basically does, it's exactly what Drain Life did. It's a more powerful Drain Life with AoE, and it restores 3 to 4.5% of your total HP every second, and it lasts 6 seconds. This is a channel spell, and it does really low damage in my opinion, and the fact that there's really no gain for Destruction, you don't get a Burning Ember, and the fact that Dark Regen is a better run of overall healing without needing to channel it, I believe that's gonna be the best talent for Destruction. On the second tier or level 30 tier, we have Hall of Terror, Mortal Coil, or Shadow Fury, which is basically the crowd control tier. Hall of Terror is the same like it was before, 40-second cooldown, 10 yards range, 5 max enemies, 8-second duration, may break on damage, but this time when you get hit by damaging ability, direct damage ability, your cooldown of Hall of Terror will be reduced by 1 second. So basically, if a rogue keeps attacking you, Hall of Terror will be basically like a 10-second cooldown, and that's really amazing. Next we have Mortal Coil, 45-second cooldown, which it's a death call, but it's on a shorter cooldown, and it doesn't do any damage if I recall correctly. It's on a 45-second cooldown, flees an enemy for 3 seconds, doesn't break on damage, and you get 15% of your maximum health, which scales for level 90 as well, obviously. and it's generally an amazing spell. This is my favorite just because of the healing and because of the trick that I'm gonna be showing you later with Havoc. And now we have Shadow Fury, which is my least favorite, the one that I probably won't be using unless I play something like Shadow Play or LSD 2.0. If you don't know those comps, I'm sorry. Shadow Fury is on a 30-second cooldown. It's a 3-second stun, 80 yards range. It doesn't get increased by Manor of Fury, the level 90 ability. But the fact that I won't be using it is because they increase the cooldown to 30 seconds. And it's a 3-second stun, which DRs with everything else. If it didn't DR with, for example, Deep Freeze, and I will mostly be playing the mage, I would probably go with Shadow Fury. But the fact that it does just makes it not a good thing for me. Now the third tier, or level 45 tier, is the damage reduction abilities, which is Soul Link, Sacrificial Pact, and Dark Bargain. The first ability, Soul Link, is on 10-second cooldown. It replaces Health Funnel, and it works differently like it was before. It's not the same. Basically, when active, all damage and healing you and your demon take is shared, but your demon's health is reduced by 15%. So basically, when someone attacks your demon, you also lose HP, and when someone attacks you, your pet also loses HP, but the same thing applies for healing. So basically, if I get healed, my pet gets healed. If my pet gets healed, I get healed. It's kind of a weird ability. It has some weird scaling. I think there's an active guide on Arena Jenkins if you want to check that out for PvP. I think this is gonna be the best for Affliction, but as Destruction, I won't be using this one. And for that matter, I won't be using Sacrificial Pact, the second ability. On a 1-minute cooldown, it sacrifices my demon's pet for 200% of its sacrifice health. So basically, if I have no demon, by the way, my health gets reduced or sacrificed. It's on a 1-minute cooldown, usable while stunned, and lasts 10 seconds. It's a really good ability, but it's the same reason I won't be using Soul Link or this. It's because I will be going with Grimoire of Sacrifice, which I will talk about later. And now the third one that I like it a lot. People kind of don't like this one. It prevents all damage for 8-second cooldown. It's on a 3-minute cooldown, which could be reduced if you consider that you can be stunned, interrupted while having Dark Bargain on, and you can't use Dark Bargain while you're any sort of crowd control. And when the shield fades, you take 50% of the damage prevented over 8 seconds, which is shadow damage, so basically you can absorb it with your Twilight Ward. This is the one I will be using, to be honest. It might change at level 90, I kind of doubt it. I like Dark Bargain. It's a good thing to prevent damage, and you have to actually time it, because if you can't time it, then it's a useless spell. On the fourth tier, or level 60 tier, we have the health loss abilities, which are Blood Fear, Burning Rush, and Unbound Wheel. Starting off with Blood Fear, it replaces your normal fear and makes it an instant cast on a 10-second cooldown that costs 10% of your maximum health. This will scale up to 90, and it's an amazing ability used offensively, but a horrible ability if you want to go a bit more defensive. So basically, the fact that it's a 10-second cooldown won't make it spammable. So if someone gets dispelled or he trinkets that fear, you have pretty much almost no ability to control him. If you want to peel, you can't do it because you don't have normal fear anymore. But if you want to go really offensively, you can get just a clutch fear on the healer when he's just comes out of the pillar and wants to LOS. He still gets fear because it's an instant cast, and you can get a kill very easily with Blood Fear. Moving on is Burning Rush, useless ability for PvP, I would say. It drains 4% of your maximum health per second to increase your movement speed for 50%. You can use it and cancel it anytime you want, no cooldown or anything. So basically, the fact that this cancels Soul Harvest and it drains 4% of your HP every second for a sprint. Maybe this could be used useful if you want to hold the flag, but then again, why would a Warlock even want to hold the flag in the first place? And the third one is Unbound Will, which is probably the best one, depending on what you play and what spec you play. It's on a 1 minute cooldown. It's pretty much a trinket. It costs 20% of your maximum health. It gets everything like Cyclone, Roots, everything off, including all magic effects. So basically it will remove Unstable Affliction, Corruption, Frozen Orb, Frozen Bomb, Deep Freeze, all that spells. It removes them because they're magic, and it also removes anything that can be like a clone or a Harmstring, anything like that. It will remove it. It's on a 1 minute cooldown. It doesn't share cooldown with your normal trinket, so I really like this spell. I might be using this one, I might be using Blood Fear. It really depends on my playstyle level 90 and on my partner's playstyles. Moving on to the 5th tier, or the level 75 tier, it's Grimoire of Supremacy, Service and Sacrifice. The first one is Supremacy, which makes your demons stronger, and it replaces some of the abilities, making them better, stronger, etc. These demons deal 20% additional damage, and their abilities also do more damage. So basically you have Imp goes Fell Imp, Voidwalker, Voidlord, Succubus, Shivara, Fell Hunter Observer, and it also changes your Doomguard and Infernal, which I won't be covering since it's not really that useful in arenas. So basically this one is a nice ability. I'm not a fan of it because of the other talent that I will go on shortly. It's really good. Maybe it's gonna be the best for Affliction. I don't think it's gonna be the best for Destruction. This one with Shivara is gonna be good because I feel like you can abuse Whiplash. Even though you had Whiplash before, I know that people are gonna complain. I feel like Whiplash, I think it has a bigger range. I'm not really that sure, but I believe it has a bigger range. And you also have Observer, which still does more damage, and it still has a spell lock, a general spell lock. Even though it's instead of actually removing spells from your target, it actually spell steals them, which is horrible against mages since they can spell steal them back. And moving on, we go to Grimoire of Service, which instantly summons a second demon who fights for you for 20 seconds. So basically it instantly summons a Fell Hunter. From what I've seen, it's only Fell Hunter, and it just spell locks the target instantly. So you have 2 spell locks. So basically you can have spell lock from your normal Fell Hunter, use it to make someone think that he can free cast, and use this one and get him on cast, which can be game breaking. This is on a 2 minute cooldown. Then we have Grimoire of Sacrifice, which is my personal favorite as Destruction, since it increases our baseline damage for Chaos Bolt, Incinerate, Fall Flame and Conflagrate. It's on a 2 minute cooldown, an hour duration, and basically you sacrifice your demon. You don't have a demon anymore, but you gain one of its abilities. And besides that, you also regenerate 2% of maximum health every 5 seconds, which is the same as Fell Armor was before. I really enjoy this ability because it gives you more burst, which that's what you need as Destruction. You can do more bursty Chaos Bolts and more bursty Incinerate, etc. And you also have the normal spell lock or Last Stand. You actually have Last Stand, by the way, right now with Voidwalker. If you sacrifice Voidwalker, you get a Last Stand that lasts for 20 seconds, which is amazing. So basically, I will personally be choosing this one for burst purposes, and I'm gonna also show you a trick about this one later on in the video. The last tier, level 90 tier, is Archimonde's Vengeance, Killjaden's Cunning and Manoroth's Fury. First of all, we'll start with Archimonde's Vengeance, which is on a 2 minute cooldown and causes an enemy to suffer 25% of all damage you take and lasts for 8 seconds. Is when you put that on a target. It also has a passive, which enemies who attack you suffer 5% of all damage they deal to you, and it's disabled while it's in cooldown. I'm not a really big fan of this one because of its 2 minute cooldown, and I'm still not sure how it will work. If someone gets shipped, for example, and he attacks me at the last second, will they actually take damage after and break the ship? I still have to test some of these things. Then we have Killgen and Scanning, which is on a 1 minute cooldown. It's like a mini Spirit Walker's Grace. You can cast and channel while moving for 6 seconds. And there's also a passive effect, which basically you can do that, you can cast and channel while moving, but increases the cast time by 50% and also reduces your movement speed by 10%, stacking up to 2 times every second while you're moving. This effect is disabled while on cooldown, but I feel like this is gonna be the best one because of its own usability. 1 minute cooldown cast while moving. It's gonna be amazing if you wanna just get the kills bolt off and someone's running towards you. That can be amazing. And last one is Manoro's Fury, which only works with Rain of Fire. It doesn't work with Shadow Fury. It increases the area of your area of effect spells by 500%, which is a lot. And I guess you can abuse it with Rain of Fire to get rogues out, but I'm really not that big of a fan of it. And I think that's done with talents. I'm personally gonna go with Killgen Scanning for level 90. Moving on to glyphs, we have 3 major and 3 minor glyphs. First one that I want to be using is Conflagrate. It's pretty much a baseline one. When you use Conflagrate, you don't need Immolate to slow a target. That's actually amazing. If someone gets the spell, you can still slow. Then you have Burning Embers, which increases the maximum Burning Embers by 1. Instead of 3, you have 4. And that's really nice if you want to set up your burst, or if you have 4 of them and you can use one of them for a heal, one of them for a wee slow, and one of them for burst. And then we have Glyph of Hellstone, which increases your healing resist by 100%, but the health is restored over 10 seconds. I feel like this can be preemptively used with Dark Regeneration to just give you an amazing healing. Even though you don't have a healer or your healer's in SCC, this can keep you alive for quite a long time. And the other ones that I'm not gonna be using that I guess are good are Glyph of Demonic Circle, which reduces the cooldown of your Demonic Circle by 4 seconds. It's not really that useful anymore, since you don't really need to get away so often with your general survivability right now. And the other one is Dark Soul, which is basically while your Dark Soul is off cooldown, you get 10% of it, and you lose it 10% when you use the cooldown. So I like the fact that this can be more of a passive ability, that you can do more damage with Chaos Bolt and more damage in general, and 10% more crit. But I don't like the fact that when I actually do use my Dark Soul, it's not gonna be an insane amount of damage in comparison to if I didn't use a glyph. And for minor glyphs I use Eye of Kilrock, which is really nice. It's not usable in arenas, so that's sad. And Glyph of Soulwell, because it's a glow, why would I not? So that's pretty much it for glyphs. And this last part of my Destruction Warlock PvP guide. This is based on general abilities, what you're gonna be using, and some cool tricks you can use as Destruction Warlock. So basically your main abilities will always be Immolate, Incinerate, Conflagrate, and Chaos Bolt. We now have a special system, resource system, which is Burning Embers. So basically with Burning Embers you can use abilities like Ember Tap, which is used to heal you. It does amazing healing. It scales because it's 20 to 25% of your healing. Depending on mastery, it could go back to like 20, I believe. Then you have Fire and Brimstone, which does AoE for your Immolate, Incinerate, and Conflagrate, or Curse, which you don't really have any curses though. And your Chaos Bolt, which is your hardest hitting ability. That's probably gonna be the only way you're gonna kill someone. And the last one is Flames of Xoroth, which instantly summons your pet, which I don't think it's that good. I think though, because for example I can spell lock, which is a really cool trick. I sacrifice, I can spell lock again, and I get this one back up, and I spell lock again. Actually, it doesn't even work the other time. If I Flames of Xoroth, it's actually really bad. But I can double spell lock. If I sacrifice my pet, it gets reset, so I can double spell lock. And I also have Havoc, which also works. If you don't know how Havoc works, it's the next 3 abilities or 1 Chaos Bolt. It also does on the Havoc target, which do damage. So basically it's bugged probably, because when I use Mortal Coil, it works on both targets, as you probably saw before with a Mortal Call. So basically I can Mortal Call or Death Call 2 targets with Havoc, but I kinda like using Havoc mostly for burst with Chaos Bolt, or if I want to slow 2 people with Conflagrate, which I can still do with my Fire and Brimstone, but it only does 15-yard radius, so it's not really that effective. And other abilities you can use really effectively is your Dark Regen with Hailstone. If you use them both, they do insane amount of healing. Just insane amount of healing. It can get from 100 to 0 or 100 to 90%, I believe, if you count Soul Harvest, which is a passive healing now instead of an actual ability. And I think that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to either my channel or AceGamesTV if you want to watch more general World of Warcraft or any other game video. See you everyone.